Monique. Okay. Other things may change us, but we start and end with family. So, my story is about my family, mainly my parents, and I was kind of surprised. In my survey monkey, I asked if you think that one of the most important relationships you have and to do anything to fix a relationship with a parent, or if a parent-child relationship is really important, and I kind of got like a 30% saying yes and 70% saying no, but I understand that because my parents' relationship went very up and down. So I'm here to talk to you about mainly family and the lessons I learned with my parents, appreciation and forgiveness. And I'm going to talk to you about my parents and a little background about them, because if you have to know them to know me, because I'm a direct reflection of my parents. And then I'm going to talk to you about my relationship with my dad versus my relationship with my mom, and then I'm going to talk to you about the lessons I learned and how I learned how to forgive. So, that's my dad. He is a psycho. He's just crazy. He's from Globe, Arizona. I don't know if anyone know about Globe, Arizona? Alright, well, he was the shit back in Globe, Arizona. Like, he played every sport, baseball, basketball, football, whatever you want to call it. He was a hick. He hunts, he fishes, he's just crazy, but I love him. I'm the most like my dad compared to my mom. So we had a really great relationship. My mom is shy, very, very shy, until she gets a couple margaritas in her, then she's a little, Mexican fireball. But she's really cool, and she's definitely determined. She actually, in this picture, she's an ASU cheerleader, and she went on to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader for a little bit. And my dad played, from Globe, he decided to play football, and he went to New Mexico State. So he was they kind of went on the same path of athletic-wise. One day they would fall in love and meet, and they started dating, and they didn't have a typical romance story. My mom was actually engaged to my dad's best friend, and one day he did something she didn't like, and she called him and said, "I'm coming over." And she was with my uncle and like 5 of my mom's guy cousins, and the guy over, she was like, "Dude, you gotta get over here. Like, I think I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Like, get over here now." So my dad went over there. My mom threw the ring in the face, literally, it was a movie scene. She threw the ring in the face, and a couple months later, my dad called my mom up and was like, "I think you're really gorgeous. I've always liked you." And so they started dating, and then they got married 4 months later, whatever that was. Had my brother 9 months after that. 2 years later, I came along. And to know me, you gotta know my parents, tell you the background, but to really know me when I was younger, I was my dad. I was horrible. I was so bad. My mom actually had postpartum depression. So after the first couple of years I was born, it was really me and my dad. My mom didn't really take care of me because she had a really bad depression. So my dad was up with me every single night, till 4 or 5 in the morning, driving me around in the car. I was daddy's girl. I was daddy's girl. Well, like I told you, I was daddy's girl, and I really viewed my mom when I was younger as kind of the punisher. She was the one that put me in my time out. She was the one that did everything. So honestly, for the first 10 years of my life, it was me and my dad. I'm going to tell you some stories about my relationship with my dad so you can know how it was really hard eventually for what he did to forgive him. I have a couple pictures of my dad. The first one with the orange dress, I made my dad take me to school. I told my mom she's good, she can stay home. I got my dad. I made my dad stay at school for 2 hours in the parking lot because I couldn't let him leave yet. And I go through the window and watch him. We were so close, I couldn't let him go. And then there's a picture of us throwing snowballs, and we were coming home from Pine Top from our cabin. I was like, "Dad, I just gotta get the snow one more time. I'm not gonna get it one more year. Let's have a snowball fight." I was crying. My mom was like, "No, Monique, we gotta get home." So my mom fell asleep, and then my dad pulled out on the side of the road and let us all come out. And we were throwing snowballs at each other, and I started crying because I didn't wear gloves, and my hands were freezing, absolutely freezing. So my dad woke my mom up, made her drive, and he was warming my hands up with a flashlight. And then there's one picture, I'm laying on his chest, and my dad still tells me this story. He tells my boyfriend the first time he met him this story. He used to try to put me in timeout, and I told you earlier my mom was always the punisher. Well, he said when I was 3 years old, he would have to physically hold me down on the bed, and I'd start hitting and screaming at him. I go, "You're the worst daddy in the world. You're the worst daddy in the world." And he went and told my mom. She goes, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is breaking my heart. I can't put in a shirt anymore. I can't put her in timeout anymore. And my mom got so mad at him. And then there's a picture of him in, like, big bodybuilding thing. It was for his 40th birthday. One of his friends drew that. But I was really big into working out. And he's actually a football coach today. And what his routine was he would go run 10 miles every day. And then he would go in the garage and have, like, you know those plastic sweatsuits back in the day? He'd go and sit in the garage and just sweat. And then he would go and punch in the punching bag that was right by my room. And so it was always kind of late, so I'd always stay up. And he would give me punching lessons every night from when I was like 4 years old to however. So that was just, we just bonded a lot. He was just always there for me. He was like literally daddy's girl. Like, I was completely in love, like so in love with my dad. Well, this is my family. And this is where the appreciation part comes in. Around 6th grade, going into 7th grade, my dad messed up big time. He had a third party in my parents' relationship, and it broke my heart. I found out about it, and I told my mom. And so that was really hard on me, because this hero, this guy that I'm like the closest to, this guy that, you know, he's your hero, definitely messed up really bad. So I hated him, and I went from daddy's girl to I didn't have a dad anymore. So a lot of that, like, my mom took on everything. She was the person who was cutting the yard now. She was the person doing everything, and I felt kind of bad because I never appreciated everything she did for me. She did the bills. I realized that she took to me to every single game, every single sport, and I always just kind of associated my dad because my dad was like the football guy, you know. I never really associated my mom, but thinking back on it, my mom was at every single game. My mom was at every single practice. My mom was there for me through everything. So it really just became, you know, me, my mom, and my brother. And I really appreciate my mom. That's one thing, part of my story I want to tell you guys, is you got to appreciate the people that are around you. You can't overlook them, because you don't ever want to look back on your relationship and not show, because that's, I think, the best thing for a kid to show a parent is appreciation for what they do. So my dad had some issues, and it was harder for me to forgive him. And then he definitely got help, got better. And around high school, it was my junior year. And I was kind of bad. I told you I was like kind of psycho. It was homecoming, and I didn't know. I wasn't gonna call my mom. I was really drunk. My ex-boyfriend took one of my best friends to homecoming instead of me, and broke up with me like a couple days before that. And I was pissed. I was a little drunk, and I saw them kissing, and I was like, oh hell no. So I called my dad, and my dad actually came into the house and like picked me up, and like I hadn't, you know, like throughout high school I hadn't really talked to him, and he was there though, and he kept trying to make efforts to be there for me, and I saw that, but it was really hard for me to forgive him. And then I went to Kairos my senior year, and it's I went to Catholic school my whole life, so Kairos is kind of a religious retreat, and we did a lot of prayer time and all that, and I ended up writing him a letter because we get time to think for ourselves, and I wrote him, I think it was a 15-page letter, and I went to Mesa, that's where he coaches football. I put it on his window my senior year, and he called me and left. I still have a voicemail today, and he just started crying and said he wants his little girl back and everything. And for me, I was at the point where I had so much hatred for him for like 4 or 5 years. I never wanted to forgive him, and finally it was like not me being weak by forgiving him, but actually making me a stronger person. So I eventually forgave him. It took, I mean, I'm a junior now, and we have a great relationship now. This is my senior year. My basketball, I think it was our breast cancer awareness day. And now our relationship's really, really good. And my point for the story is, if you can forgive someone and know they've been there your whole life, just because of one mess up they do, doesn't take back everything they did for you in the past. And appreciation for my mom is, I shouldn't have overlooked her just because she wasn't the fun parent, but there's definitely, I should have had appreciation forever. So I definitely had appreciation and forgiveness and the importance of family in my story. So my name is Monique, and thank you for listening.